Hey, movie fans. So the first topic I'm going to discuss today is news that Netflix has moved five of their movies. And I'm not surprised by this. With the actor strike still going on, you need your actors to promote the movies, and when you can't do interviews or be on talk shows, and yeah, just streaming movies, but still, even though they don't, I feel like streaming services don't promote their movies as much, obviously as much as you do in movies and theaters. I get it. I know one of them I was really excited about actually was the one with the actress from Stranger Things who plays 11 in that show. But she was playing like a princess that was gonna like slay a dragon. I think it was called Damsel, which looked really actually fun and cool to me, so I was excited for that one. And it was like four of the Netflix movies that's been moved. So I'm not surprised by this. I think you're obviously gonna see a lot of movies being shipped around and pushed back right now because the actors and writer's strike is probably gonna go until like 2024. And like I say, you need your actors. They're the big part of the reason. They're a big part of the promotion when it comes to promoting the movie and getting it out for people to see, whether it's on a streaming service or in theaters. So the next thing I want to talk about, and this is connected to that thing where you have Sony that moved seven of the movies' release dates. And the one I want to focus on is Beyond the Spider-Verse. This really sucks. I loved those two movies. And the fact the last movie was left on a cliffhanger, we have to wait longer to see it resolved, just really sucks. And the movie was put on hold in a sense that it has a to be announced, which means there's no date for it right now. And I know the six other movies all got release dates when it comes to shifting their schedule around, and it just sucks. And I will say this though, even without the writer's strike, I'm not surprised by this because from the way the cast were talking about how much they've done, how much voice work they've done so far for that movie with the dialogue and how where they're at when it comes to making that movie. I figured it was gonna get delayed even without the strike. So it just sucks as a movie fan of seeing all these movies being pushed back, and some of them aren't bad. Like Gran Turismo, I know that only got moved like 2 weeks up or something like that. So some of them aren't like big moves when it comes to like shipping the schedule around. But it just sucks when everything's kind of getting pushed back or moved a couple weeks up. But yeah, as a Spider-Verse fan, it sucks we have to wait like probably like really long right now because we don't have a date for the movie, and animation takes so long. So it just sucks to hear that as a movie fan. Next thing I want to talk about is that Barbie passed the bill at the box office. Now, I'm just happy to hear this. At some point, I'm going to watch Barbie when it becomes available digitally. It's not a movie I have interest in seeing in theaters, but you know, when I watch that movie and I dislike it, or I'm somewhere in the middle, I like it but don't love it, or if I love it, at the end of the day, I'm just happy to see movies doing well at the theaters. Like to me, I'm a movie fan. I love movies, and I love seeing movies do well. Even if some movie that don't have interest in, or maybe I didn't like that I saw in theaters, I'm happy to see any movie do well. So I'm happy for fans that have enjoyed and loved the Barbie movie, and I'm just glad to see people going to the theater to see movies. Like I'm somebody who loves the theater experience and just prefers going to the theaters and watching movies at home. So I'm just happy to see that's made past the billing. And I'm not shocked that it made past the billing because it's definitely the type of movie where I can see it's getting a great word of mouth. It has definitely legs at the box office. So I'm just happy for people who enjoy and love that movie. And just I'm happy for movie fans, period, when it comes to movies doing well. The next thing I want to talk about is the fact that Zack Snyder has said that someday he's going to put out a director's cut of Cyberpunk. Let me say this. I notice this seems to be like a thing with Zack Snyder where he's a director that seems to have the most multiple cuts of movies of his. And I feel like that's becoming kind of I don't necessarily think that's a good pattern as a director because I feel like seems like he's always trying to make movies super long. And it just seems to be like a thing where he seems to always have multiple cuts of like almost all of his movies. And also for me, like I'm not a fan of Sucker Punch. I think visually it's stunning to look at, but I think that movie is a great example. The worst example why he's not one of my favorite directors is that sometimes I think he focuses too much on the visuals of his movies. And I think sometimes story and character suffer in his movies. And Sucker Punch to me is a worst example of this, where it's visually stunning to look at, but I just didn't care about the characters. I didn't think the story was all that good. So, and I know I know there was an extended cut of Sucker Punch released that was like 18 minutes longer, but it didn't have his original ending, which sounded very weird. And it was like he said it was like the studio didn't like it because it was too much of a weird ending when it was dark and optimistic at the same time. So at some point I'm not surprised he's going to do a director's cut of one of his movies again. I don't have any interest in seeing a long cut of that movie. But I'm happy for fans who enjoyed or love Sucker Punch. So I'm happy for those fans that someday will get the full cut of that movie. It's just this news doesn't really do anything for me personally, since I'm not a fan of the movie. The next thing I want to talk about is The Legend of the White Dragon put out a trailer. This was Jason David Frank's last thing that he ever filmed. I can't wait for this. And I saw the trailer, I was like, this looks just like a really fun. Yeah, it looks a little cheesy. I could definitely see some Power Rangers vibes there. But, Jason David Frank to me is one of my heroes when it comes to his role as Tommy. I'm a big Power Rangers fan. And I know before he died, he was trying to get away from the Tommy role, and Legend of the White Dragon was like him trying to, play a different character. I think the trailer just looks really fun. It looks like a fun action movie with some like stuff that kind of reminds me of Power Rangers with the suits and everything. But I'm personally really excited for this movie, and as a big fan of Jason David Frank, I think I'm glad to see that this movie's going to come out, and I'm just excited as a fan of him to see the last thing that he filmed. So I thought the trailer was great personally, and I'm really looking forward to this movie. Until next time, movie fans.